everybody. This is day one of my Craftathon. I am going to be raising money for Dementia UK, helping families that face dementia. I'm planning on doing a craft every day for the next 30 days. Hopefully I can obviously get that done. So the first thing I'm going to be doing tonight is making something really simple, which you should have all of the things in your house. It's basically going to be a little lantern that you can put a little tea light in, and you can use it for Christmas or any other occasion that you need to use it for. So the first thing you're going to be needing is a recyclable glass jar. This is a mayonnaise jar, and it actually is a lovely shape, so it needs to be quite a nice shape and quite smooth so that you can stick your serviette or your paper on. The next thing you need is some festive serviettes or printed serviettes. You can also use plain tissue paper or printed tissue paper. These are just serviettes which I have collected over time, and I'd say it doesn't really matter what you like, but yeah, and even if you've got little spills or marks on them, it's fine because you can work around those. So you need some serviettes. You're going to be needing some scissors. I've got a big pair and a little pair. You're going to be needing some PVA glue, or if you're a crafter like me, having these in the house are invaluable. So you've got some Mod Podge. This Mod Podge here is actually dishwasher safe. So if you put this on and you put it onto the jar, you can actually put it in the dishwasher or wash it. And then I've got a Mod Podge which has got a gloss finish, and then I have got a matte Mod Podge. Right, so you're also going to need some water to be able to dissolve your PVA glue, and I've got a little dish in which to do that with. So for tonight's exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do it with the PVA glue, because obviously you may not have Mod Podge in your house. Then in my craft box, I've obviously got quite a few ribbons, but what I'm going to do tonight is I'm actually going to be using gardening twine, because I know a lot of people have got gardening twine in their garden or in their garage, but you can use whatever you've got. I mean, I've got loads and loads of different things that we could possibly use. I may use some of this as well. So let's get started. Right, so the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that your glass jar is actually clean. So you can take your little sponge. I don't know if I mentioned that you needed a sponge. You can just quickly give it a wipe. You can soak the label off by leaving it in hot water, and then soaking it for quite some time. If it doesn't really come off, you can use some sugar soap, or you can also use some nail varnish remover. Sometimes that works well. I've already cleaned my jar before we started, and it's ready for application. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a little dish, add in some of your PVA glue. There we go, just a little bit, and I'd say about half, a little less than half of some water, just to water that down. Now you can use your sponge, and I would say for this purpose I'm just going to cut a little section of it off, and I'm just going to stir it in there. I've got a paintbrush, but I don't know if everybody has a little paintbrush in their house, but you can just use the little sponge that you have cut off to put into your ramekin. So I'm just busy swirling that around, and I'm just going to leave that over there. And then the next thing you need to do is you need to take your serviette, which I'm going to be using this one over here, this Merry Christmas one. And what you're going to be doing is, a lot of serviettes have got a couple of layers, and you don't want to use all of them, you just want the front layer. So you're going to actually peel off the back layer of the serviette. If you're working with tissue paper, then it pretty much is quite thin anyway. A great thing to also do with tissue paper is to also, you can cut it into little pieces and you can basically mosaic onto the jar as well. In this case, I'm just going to quickly use my little scissors and I'm going to cut out the design that I want. Excuse the croaky voice. I am busy recovering from COVID. I am negative, but unfortunately I picked up quite a severe chest infection. It's quite a nasty cold virus going around at the minute. So I've got people where I work in a residential home for people with mental illness, they're quite vulnerable people. They haven't got COVID, but they've got a really bad chest infection. So it seems like the cold or the flu this year is getting to everyone. Anyway, so that's just why I'm sounding all croaky. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Just cut out a little serviette. And then I'm also going to use this lovely green design. I'm going to sort of mix it up. And that's why I said if you use tissue paper, you can also mosaic with it. It's pretty good. But on this one, what I'm going to do, instead of me wasting, actually, I'm just having a look at this piece I've peeled off. I'm just wondering if, no, I'm definitely using the green. Okay, so I'm going to set that one aside. I've just got to try and peel off a piece of tissue paper. There we go. And, oops. Right, so I'm not going to be using this side that's got the pretty design in, because I'll want to make that somewhere else. What I'm going to be using is actually the back base, which is basically some tissue paper, some green tissue paper, and I'm going to put that on my work surface. There is a bit of glue on there already, which it's absorbing, which is fine. And then I'm going to stick my jar, take the lid off, in the middle of that, and I'm going to take my sponge, squeeze off. It is a bit of a sticky job. I'm going to squeeze off all the excess water, and then I'm going to pat. Just move that over there. I'm going to pat the jar with a little piece of sponge that I've cut off. So you can use an old sponge that you're no longer using in the kitchen, and just sort of get an even distribution of this gluey water. So obviously it's not going to dry tonight, or during this session. But what I'll do is tomorrow night, when I come on to do the next craft, I will show you how it looks once it's done and finished. Right, I probably made this a bit watery, but it doesn't really matter because it's got the glue in it and it will stick. Okay, I think that's it. Right, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to start just slowly using my fingertips and attaching the green. And don't worry if it tears, because on this one you can double layer it, or you can put like another layer. And I'm going to just use my scissors to sort of wrap it around on there. It doesn't really matter if you've got too many lines, because it actually adds to the character of it. This is just sort of the first basic. So around there. I mean, obviously I'm doing this because I'm under time constraints and I don't want to bore you to death with the craft. So I am rushing probably a bit more, and I wouldn't usually give this a bit more of, but you'll see even with me rushing, I mean it's still going to come out lovely. And that's why this is such a good craft to do with children or young people or vulnerable people who like, and then what I'll do who like to craft, instead of me trying to push it down from there, I just wet the sponge and I press down on it, and you'll see I've got a couple of areas which have broken on the jar, which is not the end of the world, because what I'm going to do is come back over them with another little piece, because the little crackle design that it leaves when it tears like that actually adds to the lovely effect once the little torches or little candle lights is in there. Right, that's my first layer. You can see it's torn a little bit, and I'm not too stressed about that. And I'm going to leave, let me just see how big this piece is that I'm cut out. Just want to see how much space I need to leave to work out. Oops. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit more of this off. Maybe with, there we go. Just break some of it off there. Because it's so soft, it's easy to work with. Just put that over there. And let's move that like that. Good. Let's give it another. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Just a few more pieces there that are still a bit dry and haven't been touched by the glue. Right, I'm going to put another little bit of the tissue paper on the back side here, because we've got a couple of tears. Like I said, it just, the little layers actually add, especially when you've got the little folds, it sort of adds to the character of it. Once it looks like a crackle almost. And those little torn out pieces will actually let the light out a little bit more in those areas. Right, there we go. You can see it looks a bit like a forest, like little tree trunks. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because it actually gives off such nice light if you've got little imperfections in it. But what I'm going to do now is the top bit here around the base is just looking a bit sad. So I'm going to just basically put some around the base here, just go on the inside here. There you go. So what I'm planning on doing is, if you want any of these crafts that I'll be making over the next 30 days, if you make a donation to me and or send me a PM and say, oh, I really like, I don't know, whatever it is I'm going to be making, if you make a donation to the link that I've got on my Facebook, then I can send it to you postage free. I'll pay the postage. Obviously not to South Africa or anywhere else outside of the UK. But if you're in the UK, I will send you, or even make you, probably a little bit of a better version where I'm not rushing, and send you something that I make. Or you can have the one that I've done online. It's up to you. Right. It's got quite a nice little spiderwebby effect there. Right, so now I've got the top of the jar almost done. Just do this section here. Like I said, tomorrow night what I'll do is I will show you what it will look like once it's dry. Okay, I'm going to put some more green just around the top in the front, because you'll see now when I stick that on. There we go. Okay, and this is the nice, like I said, the nice part about it. If you make any, if you make any mistakes, you can either pull it off there and then, or it just adds to the character of it. That's looking great already. Really pretty. Okay, now this one I'm going to be a little bit more delicate with, because I don't want this one to break. It's not like the green where I can just stick it over. Right, so I'll turn that round, you can see as I'm doing it. Try and get the Merry Christmas almost center. And then I'm going to take my little sponge, slowly, gently wet that. And it will also dry a little bit lighter tomorrow. It only goes, let's just pull that down a little bit. It goes a bit darker because of obviously the paper's wet, so it does dry. And I'm going to be particularly more gentle around these ones, only because I do not want this to tear, and I want the Merry Christmas to be quite visible. Just pull it. But honestly, the crackle it makes it look even better. There we go. Right, I think you just got to make sure you try and get everything as flat as you can. I'm just going to use my finger to move and manipulate a couple more. Okay, I've got a bit of a gap at the bottom there, so I'm just going to take some more tissue paper, and I don't want to cover too much of. There we go. And I think we're almost there. Like I said, there's one or two little pieces at the back here which are poking out. Just want to turn it around. Oh, okay, hang on a bit. The bottom piece isn't. Just pull it slowly. Let's just get a smaller little piece to fit on that bottom. But honestly, guys, can you see how easy this was? I mean, it's ridiculous. You have what I would call a glazed donut monster able to do this. Anyone can do this. It is so easy. The kids love it. I used to do this craft when I used to have my children's craft business, teaching arts and crafts, and they absolutely loved it. And I am going to be offering some volunteering classes, craft classes, to the organisation I work for. I don't normally work with the residents because I'm more operations, but I've already volunteered that I'm going to do something nice for them for Christmas. Right, so I'm done. Well, I'm done with the decoupage side of it, and I can't see what I'm filming, so I just hope you can see what I'm doing there. Let me just wipe my hands on the sponge. Probably good to have a cloth with you. Oh, hang on, we've got another little breakout area on the side there. It's just, because it's so easy, because if you see a little hole or gap open up, you just have to patch it, and it literally, like I said, adds even more character to it. Right, so there's your lantern. It's ready to go. Well, it's ready to dry. The next thing you can do, obviously it's still wet, so I don't really want to mess too much with it, but I've got this lovely green twine, which I'm going to cut a piece off of and wrap around the side. You can obviously use different colors, but this is just because I know lots of people have got garden twine in their house. You don't have to go out and go and purchase anything. You know, you've got all these things. You should have all these things in your home. You can do a little bow if you want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the garden and go and find some berries later on, and I'll stick them on there so you can see what that looks like. And I'm going to take a little bit of this raffia and also maybe do a little piece to the side here. And like I said, tomorrow I'm gonna, it's a bit dark now to go into the garden to go and look for berries. I have got some berries. And then what I'll do is I will finish it off once it's dried a little bit, and then we can show you tomorrow how I have finished it off. You can if you at home, just use the foliage in your garden. You can use leaves, or you can also another suggestion for it is you can dry some oranges in your oven. So you basically dry them out with some salt, or you can make some salt dough stars out of flour and salt, and I will be doing that as a craft at some point in the next 30 days. So there you have it. That is my quick Christmas lantern made from simple serviettes, and I would really appreciate if you could make a donation to my Dementia link. It goes directly to the Dementia UK. And obviously anybody who wants any of the products that I make, or if you want me to make you anything, I will gladly do it for a small donation to Dementia UK. I hope that you have enjoyed this very impromptu craft session. I was hoping to be a little bit more planned, but unfortunately, like I said, I've had COVID for the last 2 weeks and I have not been able to get out of bed, if I'm honest. So this is my second day back in the real world, and I'm still not 100%. So I just hope that you find this craft easy and fun, and that you can donate to my cause. Thank you so much, and see you tomorrow. Bye.